All right, guys. So today we're going to be talking about Ultimate Texas Hold'em, probably my favorite table game. I like it because it has a very good payback percentage compared to similar games, as well as the potential for some very high payouts on hands like a Royal Flush. And I have a lot of fun playing it, probably because I'm also a Texas Hold'em player myself. So today we'll be talking about I'll be explaining the game itself as well as some strategies that I use to maximize my expected return and some mistakes that I do see many players making that could potentially lower your expected return as well. So let's get started. Before I get started, I just want to make a mini disclaimer that regardless of how well you play this game, it still has a significant enough house edge to guarantee that you will lose money in the long run. So it should only be played for entertainment. If you do happen to get lucky in the short term, that's great, but you should not expect to make money from this game. All right, so with that out of the way, let's talk about how the game works. In Ultimate Texas Hold'em, there are two forced bets which you have to make. They are the blind and the ante, and they have to be equal to each other. The ante wins if you beat the dealer and the dealer qualifies. And this means that they have a pair or better. This pair could be in their hand or it could be on the community cards as well. The blind will pay you if you have a straight or better. So once you've made those two bets, you are then dealt your first two cards, which are known as the hole cards. At this point, there is a big decision to make. You have the option to raise 3 times your bet, 4 times your bet, or to check, which means that you don't bet anything and you get to see the next cards that are dealt. This decision is very important in determining your payback percentage in the game. With perfect strategy, this game does have a low house edge compared to other poker-based table games. If you're interested in the full odds breakdown of the game, as well as a more in-depth look at the strategies that I am going to be talking about today, I have linked the resource that I personally use in the description of this video. All right, so let's talk about the optimal strategy for when to raise after the first 2 cards are dealt. One thing to note is that you should never raise 3 times on any hand if you want to play perfect strategy. So a raise means 4 times the ante. The payback percentage with perfect strategy is approximately 97.8%. So a pretty decent payout for what's known as a carnival game or a game based on a variation of poker. So the correct strategy for raising pre-flop is the following. If you have any ace, you're supposed to raise 4 times. That includes ace deuce, so anywhere from ace deuce offsuit to ace king suited. Any pair of 3s or higher is a raise. Pocket deuces is a check. If you have any suited king, you're supposed to raise, or any unsuited king 5 or higher. I find that many players that I've played this game with will not raise on low to mid-range kings, but this is a mistake according to the optimal strategy. The same applies for queen 6 suited or higher, you're supposed to raise, queen 8 offsuit or higher, jack 8 suited or higher, and jack 10 offsuit. So those are the raises. Anything else, any other hands that are dealt, you check. This strategy is pretty similar to, but not identical to heads up Texas Hold'em that you play against another player, which is why the selection of hands that you're supposed to raise with pre-flop would seem a lot different than what you would raise with at a full poker table with 9 or 6 players. This is because despite the fact that there may be other players at the table, you are only playing against the dealer. So you don't have to beat everybody at the table. You just have to beat the dealer. So it's essentially heads up, you against the dealer. So once this decision is made, the next three cards are dealt, which is called the flop. Now, these cards are community cards, which means that they could be used by both the player and the dealer. And basic strategy at this point says that if you have a pair or better, you should raise 2 times your ante on the play bet, which is the maximum allowed during this round of betting. So after being dealt the first 2 cards, you could raise 4 times, but once you see the flop, you're only allowed to raise 2 times. And this makes sense because you have a lot more information at this point. So after this decision is made, the final 2 cards are then dealt, and the player could either choose to bet 1 times their ante or fold the hand. You must make a play bet which is equal to the ante at this point in order to have a chance to win. Now, the strategy involved in making the decision whether you want to play the hand or fold the hand is a strategy called counting the outs. Many players may have not heard of this, but it is a relatively simple strategy that can be easily figured out. It's by no means absolutely perfect, but it can reduce the house edge in the long term. Now, what counting the outs means is you're counting the number of cards that the dealer could possibly have that beat you. According to the strategy, if the dealer has less than 21